I want to talk about priorities. The gulf between many people who work on this side of the TV and people like yourself watching it right now. When a friend loses their job, it is traumatic. When lots of people lose it at once, it becomes major news. When unemployment statistics come out, it becomes very, very good news. Well, very big news rather, but it wasn't very good news today. In fact, today, the ABS put these numbers out. Forget the rates, forget the participation rate, this is about people. Last month, 10,000 people lost their job. 6,700 full-time jobs gone. 3,500 part-time jobs gone, disappeared. Thousands more gave up and aren't looking for work at all. These are shocking stats, and regardless of who the government is, this is a genuine, proper story. And when 10,000 people, a football stadium of people, lose their job in 1 month, you think it might be something that you mention to the Prime Minister, especially a Prime Minister who is running on a promise in his New Way ads of making up nearly 1 million jobs since Labor came to office in 2007. Well, I have in front of me the full transcript today of Kevin Rudd's major media appearance. It's 11 pages, and I'll give you the tip. Not an awful lot of it has to do with the 10,000 people who lost their job. We're still going here. Where is it? That's right. Where is it? Oh, one question. One question. That's all the travelling media thought was worthy of asking a Prime Minister, a bloke who is running on a promise of making jobs, on a day when 10,000 people, we found out, lost their jobs last month. And the question, it wasn't even about the people. It was about the stats. It was about the rate. The question, and here it is. You're talking about jobs here. Today we've seen the participation rate go south again. What's your response to that? What would you like to say to the 10,000 people who lost their jobs? Maybe that's a question. Prime Minister, what can you do for the 10,000 people who lost their job? Prime Minister, you say that you are the man who's going to create jobs in the next 3 years. What do you have to say to the 10,000 families of which somebody lost their job? One question. That's it. Why was it only one question? You see, there was a little distraction in the air today.
I'm Kevin, I'm from Queensland and I'm here to help. His name's Peter, he's from Queensland and he's here to help as well.
Those two men hated each other months ago, and that bloke didn't even know that he was running for Parliament until 2 days ago. And that bloke doesn't even live in the electorate of which he is going to run. But you see, there already was a Labor candidate who had been running there for a year. It's a seat that's not too far from the Gold Coast. It's between the Gold Coast and Brisbane, and it's a seat that Kevin Rudd desperately needs to win. So the distraction alarm went off and the press ran off and followed it. And Peter Beattie, who again has had unpleasant things to say, has proven himself to be completely unreliable. This is the bloke who said with certainty that his wife would kill him and he'd never go back into politics. Oh, don't believe that. I didn't mean it. I meant it then, but I don't mean it now. You said that Kevin Rudd should quit Parliament. Oh, I meant it then, but I don't mean it now. And now you say that you are going to be a humble backbencher. Oh, I mean it now. But what about in 4 weeks' time? What about in 3 months' time? And by the way, before people who get too caught up in the distraction, including the journalists who didn't do their job today, by asking the chief person responsible for our economy, the man who wants to say he's the great economic manager, the bloke who on his watch, remember he was Prime Minister then, 10,000 people lost their job. No questions about that. It was all about Peter Beattie. You see, Peter Beattie, the narrative was going to be he's going to rejuvenate the Labor vote in Queensland and he'll win an LNP seat. Well, funnily enough, reality is a long way from the BS that the Prime Minister and Peter Beattie are pretty good at spinning, and media that fall for it all the time. Tonight, 7 News did a Reach Tell poll. These are relatively accurate, and today they were able to prove that there isn't a 1.5% margin between the LNP and Labor. Instead, it's closer to 10%. So Peter Beattie just has to shut up about Kevin Rudd for 4 weeks, and then he can come back here on Sky News and write in the Australian newspaper and give interviews on the radio and tell anyone who listens what's wrong with Kevin Rudd. You see, it won't matter. The real reason Peter Beattie is back in politics is to be a proxy for Kevin Rudd when Kevin's running around the rest of the country, or maybe the rest of the world. After all, when the G20 meets, it will be the final week, and by then it might be just a bit too late. So while the distraction exists, 10,000 people are trying to work out how to pay for their house. 10,000 people are trying to work out what they're going to do with the rest of their year. But it's okay, because he's Peter from Queensland, and he's here to help. But help who? It's Kevin. So Kevin can save his job. The 10,000 people who lost their job, whatever.